Hey everyone, Tom here. Welcome back to Watching the Watchmen. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a regular little podcast that myself and my co-host do. His name's actually on the front cover. I just realised that. Def, how's it going, DEFCON?
It's the final countdown. I hope we don't get sued for using that sample, Tom. But we're here now.
Right.
It's weird, this issue. It's sort of a filler one. When I started reading it, I couldn't actually remember the majority of it. It's sort of the issue that if you had to cut anything, you would cut this.
Yeah.
So feel free to skip this episode, listener.
I think there is something going on with this issue that I didn't necessarily realise early on, and I would have agreed with you that, I think it's kind of, it's just setting up. Obviously, it's still an exhibition of the genius of Alan Moore and and Dave Gibbons and John Higgins, and just seeing them at work, and all the pieces are subtly coming together. But the issue is called Two Riders Were Approaching, and we'll sort of go through it as we go through. But I don't know if you notice, there's loads of duos, loads of pairs of people and their relationships in this issue that, like the the spilling beforehand in the other issue, and the symmetry throughout the whole thing. It just it's a marvel to see it constructed.
Yeah, it's really good. And you're right, that motif does continue from the beginning and throughout. So, yeah, it's a nice little touch again. I'm not a massive fan of the issue, Tom, as you can probably tell, but we'll get into it, and maybe you'll change my mind.
Maybe. And, we open, as we always do, with the...
Should we do like a little, it's two riders, when there's two riders?
I think people can just imagine that. People could, maybe we might...
Well, I'm going to do it anyway.
What are your thoughts on the front cover, which again is mimicking the smiley so well amid the radar?
Yeah, it's very ominous, DEFCON. You always sort of hear DEFCON when it's like really serious, so it lets us know from the off that, shit's about to go off. Yeah. These statuses of like DEFCON, they never really mean anything, like the number on the end. Like, I remember the terror threat in the UK got moved to red, which means like threat imminent. It fuck all happened. It just puts people in a panic when it's not really necessary. Terrorist attacks happen when the threat is like green or something, you know what I mean, or pink.
Right.
I think it was better when they just had the doomsday clock like 5 to midnight or something. So it's a bit strange that Moore changed it to DEFCON for this issue. But yeah, I suppose I can see what he's doing. He's just making it's serious.
Yeah.
So pay attention.
Yeah.
Or skip this issue completely. If you're going off my advice. I
did scour the image for more clues, but there's not much. There's actually a knob turned to 2 rather than 1 at the top left. Everything's on the cusp, as you say. It's 11:59, and it's just, it's a nice edifice to see created by these guys. And we get into, actually, just before we get into the issue, I should say, please subscribe to the show, please comment, please email us, watchingthewatchmanpod@gmail.com. Let us know what you think of our thoughts on the issues or your general approach. We've had some great emails in episodes gone by. Not many lately, actually, I should say. So please do email in. But yeah, this is Two Riders We're Approaching, and we get our first duo, Def, with Air Force One and Air Force Two entering.
Two riders. Was that good? Yeah. I can't remember if that was even the jingle I come up with. But yeah, two riders. So it's the president and the vice president being taken to an underground bunker. Obviously, you've said the little smiley face on the radar screen. It's actually quite comedic seeing President Nixon just sitting in the back of like Air Force One or a helicopter looking really stern. The world's on the brink of war, but it's quite comedic to me. I don't know if it's the way that Gibbons has drawn it, but it's quite funny.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's sort of a caricature to a certain extent, but it's still quite faithful. Gibbons is so good at doing that sort of stuff. And yeah, anyone that knows James Gilray, the sort of Victorian cartoonist. It reminds me a little bit of him. Something that I wasn't aware of, Def, that was something that passed me by when I was reading it, really, and only I got this from looking at other analyses of Watchmen. So the sixth panel of page 2 shows the Vice President tripping on the stair. I didn't actually notice.
All right, yeah, I thought he was just rushing down.
Yeah. I mean, this analysis has read it as tripping, and I think it probably is, because it's basically talking about this vice president, who's Ford in here, President Ford. He was apparently known as an awkward president. This was due to a Chevy Chase skit on Saturday Night Live, and he was just, a bit of a klutz in general. So yeah, again, just nice allusion to the world it's aping.
Yeah, it's really good. Nice little setting for it as well. It's not very common that in the Watchmen universe we get put into this scenario. I think this might be one of the only times.
Yeah.
So it's nice that we finally get like a government perspective on everything instead of just like the street level hoods or Dr. Manhattan.
And I don't know if this is purposeful or not, but I definitely see the atomic football that the president's carrying in the fifth panel, especially, kind of to mimic the rotating blades of the chopper.
Yeah, no, I think you're right there.
Something there.
That's a good little spot.
Yeah. But
did you steal that off the internet?
That one not. That one not.
Right.
That one I just saw. That one's a shape one, so it's easier to do than like historical shit. But we're washed in this rich orange light of the command center. And as you say, these aren't settings we see. These are clean settings. They're not otherworldly like Mars or kind of, an ulterior nowhere or a prison or a shack or something like that. It is a kind of heightened environment. And, the idea that it's building is that, we truly are on the cusp of full-out Armageddon.
Yeah. And from there we go to New York and we see Rorschach and Dan. It's another two riders.
Yeah.
So you've got the Twin Towers in the background as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know why whenever I see the Twin Towers now, I think like the writer knows that they got destroyed. It's very weird.
That's a good point.
I think they've been fictionalized so much that they use like as such a way of like displaying what era it is.
Definitely.
It's very much shorthand. But obviously Moore couldn't have known this.
No.
Unless that Snake God's been telling him stuff. But yeah, it's nice just to see the New York skyline.
It is. It definitely
and I love
is.
how they're floating in the bay as well on Archie.
Yeah. He has so many different uses. He can just do so many different things, which says a lot about his career. I love as well them rising in the first 3 panels as we as we go above the water, which is just cute. There's so much cute stuff in Watchmen that just conveys motion so well, and I love that. And again, I don't know if I'm being a bit of a nerdy art critic loser, but the Twin Towers we see and the moon, and we sort of see Archie's eye as well, quite moon-like, and there's kind of shattered towers in front of him. I don't know if they're supposed to echo.
Okay, so you think Moore did know about the Twin Towers?
Yeah, mate. What if there's a panel in Ozymandias? It's like TV. It's like Nostradamus or something. But you are so right. It's like Friends, I think, has it where you always see it, and it's kind of painful. It leaves a tinge.
Yeah, and it's weird that it was never intended to be like that. Like there is, now you've said it, there is clearly like 2 shattered towers in front of the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
But obviously Moore believes that time is cyclical, and maybe he tapped into something there. It would be interesting if we ever got him on the show to kind of ask about that.
Yeah, we should try. I mean, we have spoken about getting him on the show. I mean, we've had John Higgins on the show, so I reckon we'll get Dave Gibbon. So maybe Alan, like, he seems like he's sort of quite jovial and giving to lesser causes. So maybe he'll pity us. No one will listen to this, and
we'll call ourselves the Two Riders, and he'll be like, "Wow, these guys, they've got it locked down."
That's the thing, though. I bet he hasn't spoken about Watchmen publicly for many years, and why would he really? He's very old by this point, and
it's probably because every time someone asks him a question, it's like Watchmen related, and he's like, "Look, yeah, I did it about 38 years ago, mate. Just leave it." Yep. Like Harrison Ford, he's been asked the same Star Wars questions since 1977. You know what I mean? He doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
So Maud probably doesn't care either. He probably hates the two riders.
I think he despises Watchmen deep down. He just, I think he hates what it represents. But obviously, we adore it, and it's so full of these references that are just kind of overwhelming when you consider how loaded the panels are. Especially when the two guys are discussing, kind of what's coming next, and we see all these posters, of all these things that we've spoken about over these past episodes.
Yeah, it's great, and the world is just so immersive as usual. The panels are literally just packed with imagery. You could just study them for ages. And I love how when Rorschach climbs into his apartment, there's a little callback to his appearance in the first issue.
Yeah,
when he was perched on the ledge there. And it's just a nice little callback. But now he's out of the costume, and it feels like there's more at stake. Whereas initially he was investigating something, now he's like, he's down to the bare bones of things.
Yeah. You're so right about the image of him entering as well, which is of course the splash panel to at midnight, all the agents, and beautifully done. And also it almost feels otiose to point this out, which is a fancy word for pointless. When he's describing how hanging on by my fingernails and never looking down as he lowers himself by his finger, It's
ironic that otiose is the most pointless word that you could use to say pointless as well.
That is true. Is this the first time we get his landlady's name on page 6, Mrs. Sharp?
Oh, I've got no idea, Tom.
It might be. Maybe she was
interviewed
remember what
in
happened
the
this
New
morning.
Frontiersman.
I'm not quite sure. And, we see Rorschach, bathed in this light that he often is. He looks quite masculine and majestic and pristine. And he shows mercy here by not telling the kids what his mom is, but almost by her saying that, it sort of says what she is. But, I like it.
Yeah, and I think it's triggered by the expression on the boy.
Yeah.
It's a very touching moment. Obviously, Rorschach, we've seen his childhood throughout the comic. And, he doesn't say, he does want to hurt this woman, but he knows that if he introduces this child to a violent life, that it could lead to him one day leading a violent life. And it's a nice way of showing that Rorschach will sort of always choose to be the hero. He's very black and white and methodical in his definition of right and wrong. So he knows this is wrong, and he knows it could cause trouble, even if it would make him feel good, and even if it is probably justice for him to do something to this woman. It's nice that he still chooses, the good path.
Yeah, we see Niteowl in this page as well 3 times, just in the darkness. In the third panel, he sort of hovers. In the 5th panel, you sort of see him, just a bit of his head coming out the doorway, which I really like. And then similarly in the 8th panel as well, he's there, the scene is carved out, as you say, and yet the blood's still splattered on him, of course. Him going back for the journal, which just plays to the personality so well. And we enter, some interesting terrain here. Ozymandias's land here, Karnak. And, I love this sequence throughout. I think the colour scheme especially just denotes utter power.
Yeah, it's a great use of purple and yellow as well, which is obviously Ozymandias's colours. And it's luxury. And I've never sort of really considered it that Ozymandias sort of represents the corporations controlling everyone. And he really has got complete power over people's lives. And I love just the way that he says he wants all of the monitors on and to randomize the channel every 100 seconds.
Yep.
Like he's some sort of omnipresent god that's able to see everything across the world all at once.
Manhattan-esque.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And we also see him suit up, which kind of gives you the clue that he's stepping back into his old persona.
Sure.
So you sort of know something's coming, even though that, as a reader, if you were reading this for the first time, you've not really been made aware of it. And if you were reading it for the first time, you might question, why is he suiting up? Because he hasn't been made aware of anything by Dan or Rorschach yet. So why has he taken this warning? And it's obvious that it's because he knows what's coming, really. But yeah, it's a very nice characterization of him as a villain.
And I love this.
But it's not 2 riders there, Tom. There's about 4 of them.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of monitors as well. I love how Just Me and the World, the caption, has... you know, the screens sort of react to it in a certain way. That arrow is pointing down from it. A man is running into it. A woman is revealing it. I don't know, you know, make what you will. I did study these screens quite closely. And I also like how the film reels on the projector stand are kind of nuclear-esque, Fallout Shelter-esque.
Yeah, no, that's a really good spot as well. I totally missed that. But yeah, you're completely right. Yeah. And it's all sort of building towards this theme of nuclear war. And analysing the media, Ozymandias even mentions that there's increased sexual imagery in candy adverts, which is apparently common in times of war. And he talks about investing in baby foods and maternity goods and stuff. Like, he's ever the businessman, really. And you sort of... I mean, Ozymandias, he says that he's doing things for the good of mankind, but I don't know how genuine he is, because throughout this issue, and especially in the linear notes, you learn that there's always sort of a business mentality to everything that he does.
And yeah, he's just recording it as well for further study, to archive, which is nice. And the snow beating outside these green windows, and Bubastis' silhouette. Wonderful shot of him on the chair. And, you know, a lot of the issue is dealing with how did he get to this point? You know, how are they going to make sense of this? How does the conspiracy actually, you know, be cognizant to any of them, be coherent? And we get that through Rorschach and Dan, and a lot of sequences of them not only travelling underwater, but I suppose subconsciously, you know, ploughing deep within themselves as they explore these landscapes. And I especially love the physical interaction between Rorschach and Dan, which is similar, I guess, to when Dan held Laurie's hand for too long.
Yeah, definitely. And they're sort of getting cabin fever because basically they're waiting in Archie until nightfall. So they're just stuck down at the bottom of this river waiting for the sun to go down. And, you know, they start turning on one another. But they reconcile. And you're right, it is quite a touching moment that shows that they are friends deep down. They're both fighting the same battle. They're just going about it a different way. And it is a nice touch. Like me and you, Tom, I send you insults all the time by text, but you know I care about you, don't you?
Right.
We're a bit like Rorschach and Niteowl us in a way.
Wow. Yeah, I see the illusion actually. I don't know who's who, but yeah.
And you know what they are? They're two riders.
Yeah. And you know, we should start asking questions in the underworld, Rorschach says. Isn't that what we're doing, Dan says, as they go in these subterranean depths, which is just, it gives you this just, I don't know, it gives me this hypnotic, the fish going by and the slightly algaed anchor wreck, and, you know, deliciously done. And it's just exciting that we're finally seeing these guys. We've seen them in flashback, we've heard them spoke about together, but we actually get to see them, I guess, in the real time of the narrative right now, you know, erupting out the waters triumphantly.
Yeah, no, it's great, and that's one of the defining images from the Watchmen trailer as well. Just Archie bursting out of the water, so it has clearly, you know, had impact on people who've seen it. And I just love the way the boy rocks back and forth as well. It's just great. And then from there you go into the Black Pearl. So again, it follows the water motif, and the Black Pearl, Black Freighter.
Yeah, me, Tom. Pirates was that?
Pirates. I don't even like that movie either, so I don't know why I mentioned it. But that guy arrives on shore, and because of his insanity, he thinks the only thing that he can do is murder everyone. He's mistakenly assumed that his home's been attacked and everyone is in on it, so he has to kill them all to save the rest. And this is basically the same way that Ozymandias assumes that the world has gone to war and he must kill everyone to stop it. And it's clear that the right of the Black Freighter obviously aligned with this kamikaze mentality, so it gives reason to the fact that he was picked to work on Ozymandias' island as well. And it's really nice tie-in. You know, I've slagged the Black Freighter off. I've even called it the Black Pearl sometimes, Tom. And yeah, it's a nice tie-in. Eric Ferguson, he said it took him 30 years to enjoy it, and it's, you know, if you read it a couple of times, you do start warm to it a bit.
I think this is particularly a good sequence, actually, in a kind of okay issue, I suppose, compared to the rest. This is probably one of the best Black Freighter sequences, especially for him coming onto the island, seeing these kind of, this money lender from Davidstown, not understanding how they could have been there. He must have collaborated, just completely misunderstanding the situation, but, convincingly. And the ribald chuckling reached the water's edge, ceased, became a scream. My raft was discovered, and there's just a kind of corpse staring up at these fancy feet, and just delicious. Him killing her as well. The moneylender's head burst with a single blow, exploding as if pressured by the guilt within.
Yeah, and then I love the way that he says, "The woman I strangled. This took considerably longer than I had anticipated." Like, it just paints such a picture
with the horses watching.
The two riders, Tom, if you will.
The two riders.
I'll not do the jingle because people are probably sick of it, but it's just building on everything, and everything's perfectly aligned. And we then go from there to the news vendor who was reading about the Vite method. Again, you can see two men on there.
Yep. I will give you bodies beyond your wildest dreams. I suppose, if you look at what he's done to these bodies, like.
And what I took from that was that this sort of ties back to Vite's investments, and he wanted to kind of do a bodybuilding thing because he knew that war was coming, and people would kind of want to make themselves stronger to fight. Right. So he's sort of selling this method that's going to transform you into a bodybuilder beyond your wildest imagination. Of course, if a war happens, you're going to think, I need to be strong, I need to fight, I'm going to use this fight method. So again, it shows that Ozymandias is very methodical and analytical, and at heart, he's always the businessman. Yeah. Whereas this guy on the beach, he's just fucking mental, Tom. Yeah, Black Freighter lad, he's fucking mental.
He's mirrored with the kid, I forget the kid's name, who's always reading the comics. The thing, they're both on the floor, they're both crouched, they're both, everything juxtaposes with everything in such a wonderful diamond-like structure. It's quite incredible. And we get back to one of Rorschach's most prized haunts. This is the club. It's going for information here.
Yeah, I love this scene as well. It's very brutal. It's Rorschach basically interrogating someone, but I love the way that they walk in as two riders, Tom, and they're kind of looking for information, and everyone just sort of turns and looks at this guy. He's like, "You bastards! I buy you drinks, you sell me out. What kind of town is this?" And Rorschach just kind of goes over and just crushes the glass in his hand, and then starts interrogating him. Yep. And it's strange that, like, Dan's sort of an onlooker, and he tries to stop him, and he doesn't get that involved, but then he learns of Hollis Mason's death, and it really speaks to how emotions can drive us to do insane and cruel things, really. And it's sort of interesting that later Vite says that he made himself feel everything, like feel every death, and it speaks to sort of how emotions can either be a positive or negative thing. And the fact that Dan goes over to this, like, knothead in the first place sort of shows the prejudice, and maybe that he isn't the Boy Scout that he claims to be. He's sort of just as dirty as Rorschach, but he's operating, with a sense of privilege.
Certainly, yeah. And what he discovers, unfortunately, from this guy that he's victimizing, wearing a knot doesn't mean I'm connected with that stuff last night. A lot of people dress like this, man. I guess a lot of people dress like these guys as well. A lot of people live that life. And we find out about the death of Hollis here through Dan, which is treated quite briefly, I think, in a good way, but it's not kind of lingered on too much, even though it'd be quite a big thing for him.
Yeah, this is sort of, you've got to just get on with it. When you're a superhero, a lot of the time you don't have time to grieve. I'm talking from personal experience here, Tom. But like Batman, for example, I know that's always my go-to. But a lot of his, allies and stuff have been killed throughout the years, and you've just got to get on with the job. There's bigger things at stake here, and if you want to be the hero, then you've got to be better than everyone else.
And Rorschach, ever the pragmatist, seeing the gang murders Mason, it supports the mass killer theory.
Yeah. And he's right.
Yeah.
He's right.
I guess he is right. I mean, he's wrong because it was a chance in a sense, but it does as well.
And it's good how there's sort of a good cop, bad cop routine throughout this section that sort of alternates. Like Rorschach starts playing the good cop, and Dan starts being the bad one. But yeah, nice little scene.
Some little Adrian anecdotes come in as well, telling me that Egyptians regarded death as a voyage. And we then skip into this boat tethered outside the island. We're seeing lots of the people that we've heard about at the end of the article. I think it's of the New Frontiersman, all these various characters here. And then we get to more Two Riders. Literally, I guess, riding is Max Shea and Hira Manish, the latest ones of this motif. And I mean, yeah, they're decimated, unfortunately, before they can procreate.
Yeah, it's a shame, but who the fuck were they anyway, Tom? I mean, just kill them all. Kill all the characters.
Yeah.
Nah, they were about to get bumpy, but you discovered the bomb, which, again, is following the motif of 5 to midnight. So it's, again, on the bomb, it's just giving you this little feeling that, oh shit, when stuff goes 5 to midnight, it's about to fucking go off. So it's nice that Moores follow this, and you can see the little vagina alien sketched out on a little bit of canvas there. So again, it's just foreshadowing everything.
And the moon descending, yet another great example of the way that momentum is conveyed here. You get the sense of it not just like drifting ashore as the moon slowly set. And, it's just. And
I've just noticed the little vagina drawings washed up on the shore there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's in the top left of the first panel, and then the bottom right of the last one.
It lives beyond these people that have created it. And. We get them kind of a lot of classic superhero tropes here, getting in the villain's lair, finding their motive, finding their plan. Even him writing, I'm leaving for Karnak on November 1st. It just sort of, it's something he would have digitally or not at all, or he just remember it. He's the smartest man in the world. So it's a little interesting that he would do that. But yeah, them going through here, exploring, a great sequence, right?
Yeah, and they discover like there's little clues that kind of depict what's going to happen. Like they discover a chart that shows the rise in population, mirroring the climb in the likelihood of a nuclear attack. Hashtag Thanos was right. So overpopulation, it's the biggest thing killing the planet right now, Tom. No one wants to talk about it, but except for our God and Savior Thanos. And interestingly, Tom, did you like Infinity War?
I did. I thought it was pretty good, actually. I've got to say, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, well, I thought it was excellent. One of my favourite films ever.
Why can't Thanos just create food though, or like redefine the concept of resources? And surely there were planets that were okay and didn't need to be balanced.
Right, because and I thought about that originally, but he's known as like the Mad Titan, isn't he?
Okay.
And he comes from a world that. He said to them, look, you dickheads, overpopulation's going to destroy this planet. And they were like, no, it won't. So he has tried to take the peaceful route, but it's not worked. So now he's just like, he's went mad with it, Tom, and he just realizes, like, people are going to always try and find a way around it. So I'm just going to kill half them. Hashtag Thanos was right. And one of them's going to be your favourite webhead. Hashtag spoilers. I hope everyone's seen it by now and I haven't just ruined the ending for them, Tom.
The thing that pissed me off the most is I know the Russo brothers, the directors, crazy good directors, did Arrested Development as well. I don't know if you've seen Arrested Development, but Tobias Funke, he apparently has a cameo in like The Collector's Lair or some shit. I missed it. I didn't see it, but
I've seen it twice now. And I knew about the cameo the second time, and I still couldn't spot him. I knew exactly what scene he was in as well.
Yeah.
But he's in Guardians for definite. But I don't know where I couldn't see him in Infinity War. We'll have to buy the Blu-ray, Tom, and have a look for him.
Literally.
And that's what pissed you off about the movie.
I suppose so.
That's not that bad, is it?
No,
you
no.
It was a cameo.
It was fine. But you know what? Me and my girlfriend, she introduced me to Some Like It Hot yesterday, and I had such a ball watching that film, and I enjoyed it so much more than Infinity War, and I think good writing, a good drama, and well-paced comedy is just, it's more interesting.
Okay.
You know?
Well, what the fuck are you doing on a comic book podcast anyway, Tom? But we'll go
Watchmen
back to
is
this
literature,
issue then.
you know. Shout the time. But yeah, him guessing Ozymandias' password has always bothered me.
No, I find it hilarious. I always love in films when people hack computers. Like there's an absolutely terrible one in Batman and Robin where Batgirl hacks Alfred's computer with a name on a photo beside the computer. And it's a 3-letter word. It's Peg.
Wow.
And then I love it. I love every movie this happens in. As soon as they log in, all of the secret plans and stuff pop up straight away.
Oh yeah.
Like she's sitting there, she logs in, and all the like diagrams of all the different Batmobiles and stuff start popping up. I think there's one in. I'm trying to think what movie. Anyway, it happens quite a lot. It might be Iron Man where Pepper Potts hacks Obadiah Stane's computer, and as soon as she's in, all the fucking secret plans start popping up, just opening up the windows. Yeah, I love the way that Adrian, like as he's hacking it, he nearly gets the password right.
Yeah,
and it goes password incomplete. Do you wish to add rider? And there's the fuck. Oh, I've just realised the rider, Tom. There's the rider again.
Yeah.
But anyway, it basically tells him, look, you nearly got the password right. It's not good security, is it?
No, it's not. No,
imagine if Facebook did that, they'd be in more shit than they already are, Tom.
I remember on Windows XP, I think you could get a password hint. I think you could do it on that, but yeah, it is contrived, and him bathed in the greenish hue of this Macintosh, the realization there, what's going down, and them heading out. To meet him, and then we get our last bit of Black Freighter, which essentially closes the story for the time being. The two riders, him and a dead corpse of a woman, which is pretty morbid, pretty fascinating. Him passing a pirate sentry, holding his breath, praying that there's not going to be contact. Him passing a sort of a hollowed out scarecrow that's very haunting with its kind of sacked eyes, and I love the end of them racing into the front of the image.
Yeah, and it's just a nice little signifier that misconceptions and assumptions can lead down a dark path in the same way that Ozymandias did. And yeah, it's just nice. And we see Rorschach also drop his journal off. And a lot of people, comic book writers might not go to that extent. They might just be like, oh, he's just dropping his journal off, just cut that scene. But it's nice how you get to see the journey of the postman as well, as he takes this to the frontiersman, and it's just a nice little touch. It's world building.
It is the drop down ladder is always good to see, and you see the Hiroshima.
So hard to climb, so difficult to climb a drop down ladder. It's one of those things in movies that they lie to you about, isn't it? Like, oh yeah, just climb this rope ladder, and then you do it in real life, and you're like, fucking hell, this is horrendous. Why would anyone do this?
Like those things at fairgrounds that you sort of got to get to the end of, or some shit like that. Some gypsy. And we see the Gunga Din elephant as well in the back as the post is sent off, and the journal arrives, and we get to. I love this picture of Archie flying through the sky. Yeah,
it's really nice, isn't it? Yeah, it's sort of like a wallpaper for your desktop.
Definitely,
isn't it?
Yeah. The clouds are almost Disney-esque. There's no real weight to them.
And it's a complete polar opposite to New York. There's just sort of a cleanliness to it. And you can see why Adrian would kind of have his retreat here. It's just away from everything. It's very solemn. And it's, it's nice and peaceful. It sort of reminds me of a Japanese painting of waves. I don't know if the composition's similar to it, but just the colours used.
Hokusai, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what you mean, yeah. And the cloud shaded towards us as well, and the middle sort of giant one, and seeing them move, kind of make sense that the lair would be above this height, because you imagine how high they are really as they're sort of scaling this thing. And the next page as well, when they crash down in the snow, and I guess you see a little bit of the a flap of the ship fly off or something, and you get to see them inside as well, all the paper flying around, and Dan himself jostle the joystick, and all in all, the snow is evoked brilliantly.
Yeah, it's just a really nice change of environment as well, and the snow is beautifully depicted, and I just love the way that Archie looks against the snow. just those massive eyes against the white backdrop. And it's a really good artistic touch by Gibbons and Higgins, friend of the podcast.
Yeah, great friend of the podcast. And yeah, you're right as well. We're in another new environment, a sort of snow Arctic environment, which is a common environment for sort of action. Like Inception, for example, has that weird snow scene towards the end that sort of comes out of nowhere. But yeah, Dan, ever resourceful with the gadgets. I don't really know how Rorschach and his stain coat withstands this snow, this cold. But
I love it.
I mean, Dan's suited up. You know, Dan clearly knows what he's up for.
It reminds me of home, Tom, because I don't know, but if you know Geordies,
right? But
they're stubborn like that. They literally go out clubbing all night in just t-shirts and skirts and that. You know what I mean? We're hard men. We're not like you southern shandy drinkers with your podcasts and your fancy book analyses. So it's just nice that he's like so stubborn that he's like, no, I'll just wear my coat. Yeah. And what happens then, Tom? It's the two bloody riders.
Yeah.
And two riders. Ow.
Well, there is a Two Riders song, apparently. It's by Bob Dylan, who I'm not really a big fan of. But outside in the distance, a wildcat did growl, which is lovely because Bubastis, we see her paw, we see her say, you know, Moore is adept at creating sounds like that, and animals, and Bubastis is always fun for him to play with. Outside in the distance, a wildcat did growl. Two riders were approaching. The wind began to howl.
Yeah, I was fucking blown away by that. It was brilliant. I don't know how Moore discovered this stuff. Maybe it's like when people say quote Oscar Wilde and they just make up any quote and then just put his name at the end of it. But literally, this Bob Dylan quote is perfect, and it sums up the entire end of the issue. And again, before Google, we say it every time. It was before Google.
Yeah.
So
what's nice is the song that it comes from, All Along the Watchtower, which is probably more famous for the Jimi Hendrix version. It plays in the film, doesn't it? As they go into the snow, I believe.
Yeah, not as subtle in the film, but but still nice.
Yeah. And I love the end material as well. The toys that we see, the businessman, as you say, that Vite is, and all the descriptions of the toys are fantastic as well. And the ship, Moloch you can get, and they look great.
Yeah, I like the little letter discussing the Watchmen figurine line. Like, it's quite funny how they literally just throw everything in.
Yeah.
I remember, again, Batman and Robin. When that came out, I went to Argos to get some toys. And the Robin in the catalogue was like night camouflage Robin. So I bought it. And when it came out, they were like, "Oh, we didn't have any of that. We've only got Ice Fighter Robin." Or something stupid like that, and it was literally the same figure, just painted white on some bits.
Wow.
Like the same way that they have Bubastis in, it's just funny, because that is literally how toy shit works.
Yeah.
Anyway, I recommend everyone that check out Toys That Made Us on Netflix, because that's a brilliant documentary about stuff like this.
And good friend of the show, Psychosis Holocaust stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's quite funny how they mention Moloch is dead as well, but he's not copyrighted, so it's okay to make a figure.
Right. Yeah.
I'd buy these toys, like they say new. God, like the next page they go new figure, and then it's got new accessory. And it's just great.
The irony is, if DC did this as a set and made it, it would sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, it's one of them toys that you would see on eBay listed for like £300, isn't it? Definitely. And someone would fucking pay for it as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Probably the most pertinent thing here is the nostalgia ad where Adrian is pointing to the future, where they're going to do Millennium. You know, he's going to, as you say, he controls all the things, so he can really control mood as well and influence through smell here, of all things, through the scent. And I love this sequence as well. And all in all, Moore's obviously batting on 10, and I can't fault anything here.
Yeah, and it's great how they just talk about how like they chose androgynous models to advertise nostalgia as well, so they can appeal to the gay market as well. And the marketing of war is really beautifully discussed here. And it's fascinating to think how during like peacetime certain products are put forward in a certain way. It's just great. And then they go into the Vite method, where it's talking about the meditation and mind state needed to build a perfect body. And it's obviously just preparing people for war. And again, there's so much subtext here. and Moore does a brilliant job.
Yeah, yeah. It's.
But I fucking hated the issue, Tom.
Yeah.
No, it was all right, wasn't it?
It's all right.
I just don't think it's as good as the rest.
No. I think it kind of it's essentially setting up the end game, and it needs to kind of have these moving parts. But yeah, no, I enjoy it, and these next 2 issues, are going to be a treat to go through as always. Let us know in the comments. Subscribe to the show. Obviously, subscribe to Def's channel. Def, you got 1 million views recently. Is right, 1 million total on your channel. Wow.
Yeah, I'm really blown away by it. I'm genuinely quite happy with how the channel's developing. I think most channels tend to have either be really popular all of the time but have no niche stuff, and then there's some channels that have loads of niche stuff but just aren't popular. So it's good that I really enjoy doing this, and it's good that we've got a little core following who enjoy it. And then when I want me million views, Tom, I just go off and do something. I just put in Eric Ferguson actually commented on the last video saying, please call your final episode the ending of Watchmen explained. So he knows what my strategy is, Tom. He's figured it out.
Yeah.
I've actually just dropped a Deadpool 2 ending explained as well, though, so make sure you go watch that.
Okay.
It's got all the post-credit scene talk.
Wow.
It's sort of a spoiler review, but I just call it ending explained to get more views.
That's it.
Them Funko Pops don't pay for themselves, Tom.
No, clearly not. And, subscribe to Battle Rap Resume as well. Me and Def have done tons of episodes on there. Completely different focus from this.
Yeah, exactly. You've got a niche following, haven't you, Tom?
Yeah, a little bit of a following.
Yeah, you love it.
Yeah.
See, I love these little niche followings.
Exactly, yeah. That's what they're there for. And, there's quite a few other people that I follow. I found this guy recently has 700 subscribers on YouTube, just reviews old 70s rock albums and shit. And it's great, and it's he doesn't get many views, but I don't fucking care. It's more entertaining than anything on TV, So,
exactly, it's good that there's lots of channels out there, and popularity doesn't define quality. All of my popular videos are pretty shit, Tom.
Yeah.
And these ones are pretty shit as well, but, Actually, it's something interesting. I got given a Batman comic from 1959 as a wedding present. So that's crazy, just getting a 60-year-old comic. And it was funny because the guy who gave me it, he brought it in a cardboard envelope, do not bend. And I just literally took it off and said, oh, thanks. Took it out of the envelope, had a look at it, put it back in quickly, and then just stored it away like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, I looked up how much it was worth on eBay and sold it straight away. Then Funko Pops do not pay for themselves, Tom.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, I want to handle an old comic. That'd be cool.
You don't, Tom. It's too much pressure. It's like being given a newborn baby.
Yeah.
And you just don't drop it, don't touch it. What do I do? And next thing you know, you've ripped it in half, Tom.
Wow. Well, we will be back soon for Doomsday Clock, whenever the fuck that's coming out. I think it's been pushed forward as a bi-monthly. I don't really read modern comics. I just read trades and stuff, so it's kind of weird to sort of have to live through this protracted existence.
It's frustrating reading stuff issue by issue as well, because you forget. You literally, especially when it's 3 months since the last one, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah, we should never have done it, Tom, but we wanted them views, didn't we? Yeah. And it slapped her in the face.
Well, shout out to everyone that fucks with our hating, my hating more than anything, of Doomsday Clock. But as ever, this has been great, man. I don't know what to say. Thank you for having a good chat about Watchmen.
Whatever. Bye.